Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing your daily Walking Dead video for today. In this one, I'm going to give my thoughts on whether or not I think the Walking Dead television series is going to do the Whispers justice. And so this one's primarily a Q&A, so it may contain some kind of hints at spoilers or things like this because, of course, this is going to be talking about a group that's going to be coming up in The Walking Dead in a while. So probably in a couple years. I'm listing it as Season 9. Who knows? It could be Season 10. It could be... Could we say second half Season 8? Well, probably not. I mean, anything's possible, but most likely not. So Season 9, Season 10, most likely we're going to see the introduction of the Whispers. Also joined to, what's been happening with Heath. And we've got a quick quote from him from an interview that I'll link you guys to in the description, which we'll get into in a minute. So the question came from Freeland256, and he says, "Hey Trev, Q&A, do you think with the show having to already spend so much money on makeup to produce walkers, would bringing aboard the Whispers be cost effective? Thanks, and love your videos." So, of course, Negan has been amazing in The Walking Dead. The next set of villains to come up after him and the Saviors will most likely be the Whispers, unless they do some kind of add-in or something, which sometimes they've done with, for example, Grady Memorial Hospital and groups like that don't exist in the comics. But when they do bring in the Whispers, man, it should be a pretty incredible first appearance in the series. And they should be the scariest group that we've ever seen. I mean, they should be more intimidating. They should be more, I suppose, horrific. And just all around scarier than even the Hunters, than Terminus, or anything we've seen prior. I mean, the concept of, survivors walking around wearing skins of zombies that they've killed or other people that they've killed is very brutal, and it could lend to be the scariest group we've ever seen in The Walking Dead if they do it right. In fact, I would even say if they aren't the scariest group we've ever seen in The Walking Dead, then they're not doing it right. They're not doing it justice, because from the comics, I mean, reading the comics, and the comics are at times darker than the TV series. They usually are, actually. If you look at the stuff in Woodbury with Michonne and the Governor and that, and there's a lot of other examples too, but a lot of the time, the comics are pretty dark, and there's some things they just don't do in the TV series version. But the Whisperers are one where I really feel like they've really got to go for it. They've got to get Nicotero going with some really awesome, makeup and everything, zombie makeup. But even to a level further, than that, it's going to be pretty difficult, I think, for them to really capture the Whisperers. And of course, if they do a good number of them, it could be really cool. Also, it allows for some really good point of view shots, I think, with the Whispers. If you look at the storyline from the comics, there's some really cool point of view shots, maybe, seeing behind with where they sew the mask together of the skin, having maybe some characters get stuck into, a section where you have Whispers and zombies coming around them. Kind of like, do you guys remember the point of view video they did on AMC's site where you're surrounded by zombies and you can look around 360 degrees and they're coming at you from everywhere? Pretty scary, actually. Something like that in the TV series version. Point of view shots where, us getting to see things through the eyes of a survivor as part of the survivors group, maybe Jesus, maybe somebody else, and not knowing which ones are zombies and which ones are Whisperers. That will just be amazing to see. With regards to price, as Freeland brings into the question here, we don't know what The Walking Dead's budget is like nowadays. We really don't. It's not public. As far as I know, I've looked online quite a bit, and I haven't seen an exact number figure. I know that in the earlier seasons with Frank Darabont, it was released because of the lawsuits and stuff, that it was over $3 million an episode, and they kind of cut it. I think it was like 3.5, something like that, and it came down a bit, and that's when a lot of the problems started because they started to get into budget issues with not having enough money to really do a lot of stuff that they wanted to do in the show, along with paying all their editors and paying everybody, all the actors, actresses involved, and production crew and everything. It was a bit tight. So I don't know if from then they've expanded the budget quite a bit to maybe 5, 6, 7 million, something like that per episode. But I would think if you look at season 5, season 6, that they would have had to for No Way Out, and the amount of zombies and stuff they did with that. Some of the CG and stuff like that's pretty expensive too. So I think if they do it similar to season 6, like the first half of season 6, where we see this huge, zombie horde coming through, a herd coming through, something like that with the Whispers later on could be really, really cool. As long as the budget doesn't go down too much from that, which I don't think it will, then they should be able to do a really good job with the Whispers, and they should be able to do them justice in the TV series. And I'm very excited to see them, because they're the scariest group that we have in The Walking Dead for sure. So the interview from Heath, or Corey Hawkins, who of course plays Heath, he says, it's usually very finite, right? But me and showrunner Scott Gimple have had a lot of conversations. Scott has been great in terms of asking and talking and really trying to figure out where the character was coming from and going. And professional things take you where they take you. That's normal, but we left it open. So I will just say there is always a possibility, there is always a way. So from this interview, from what he said here, it sounds like professionally he had to go in one direction to take a better role, where he's going to obviously make more money and going to be like a series lead in 24 Legacy, and he had to leave Walking Dead behind. If you look at this season, you can tell why, because there's a lot of bottle episodes in that from certain locations where, for an actor like him and some of the others, they may only be used in half the episodes or less. Some of the characters may only be in a few episodes. Morgan and Carol from the first half, for example, are only in, 2 episodes? I'd have to double check that, but it's not very much. They don't have that many scenes. So you can really understand why Corey Hawkins decided to take on another role and go for that. And it sounds like it's kind of a choose-your-own-adventure type of thing at this time. You wouldn't be right or wrong to say he may come back or he may not. He could be like Morales, right? Another Morales situation. So we'll have to see what happens with that. We'll have to see if Corey does come back, and if it's part of the Whispers, or if he ends up just, he's dead, and even when we see the Whispers, he's not with them because Corey Hawkins is tied up with other shows, and they can't manage to get him to come back. So I really like that Gimple is giving his people flexibility to kind of be able to see how things work out, and if it makes sense for the story, have him come back in, is what it sounds like from this, but that it's not guaranteed. If they introduce the Whispers in season 9 or 10, and Corey Hawkins has got other projects he's working on, he can't do the show, I guess it's possible from this interview we could see him maybe not come back. We could see Heath kind of evaporate, so to speak, or be gone, and for us to assume that he's dead. And I guess the assumption would be killed by the Whispers if he's not able to come back. So really interesting stuff. Check out the link from comicbook.com, you guys, so you can read it for yourselves. So I do think we will see Heath return, and I do think it will be in season 9 or possibly season 10. But I suppose with the same time, if he's too busy, it could be a Morgan situation where it gets pushed back until it doesn't make sense for him to come back. And he could be our Morales 2.0, so to speak, never coming back. And it'll be season 13, and people will be like, Trev, but what about Heath? But what about Heath? So let's hope that they work it out and he can come back in season 9 so I don't get pestered by questions for the next 6 years. Or something like that. We're going on 7 years for Morales now, so that wouldn't be much of a stretch. Number 82 says, do you think it'll be pretty sweet for Rick at the end of All Out War when he gets over on Negan and says, if he decides to keep Negan alive rather than killing him, if they use the prison cell that Morgan built and says, so I'm going to keep you alive, how about a thank you? And use Negan's own words against him. So that's brilliant. I really like that. And that would work out great if he decides to... and again, there's a lot of factors here. Is JDM going to stay in The Walking Dead for a long time? If he is, you could see, him doing something like that. Rick keeping him alive and saying something, so how about a thank you? But we shouldn't assume, based on the comic book series, things are going to go exactly the same, because he's a pretty big profile actor, and we've just seen, Heath leave, which is totally against comics completely. So I guess we shouldn't make assumptions about that necessarily. Characters like Dale, and some of the others as well too. Andrea leaving way earlier than even she wanted to. So things happen with the TV series version. You can never guarantee it, but I think that's really brilliant, because a lot of times now, and that's kind of a new line that, Rick, how about a thank you? He doesn't really say that in the comics. That's kind of an add-in where he's like constantly saying to Rick, like, say thank you, Rick. How about a thank you? Like he kind of says it like once or twice in the comics, made you thank me for it. But not in the same way. The way it's being done in the TV series, that would be really brilliant. Number 82, if he said that to him at the end, it's like he bests, they defeat the Saviors and he forces Negan to say thank you. That would be cool. It's kind of like a alpha, reversal thing. Like Negan's on top, and if Rick and the others defeat them, then Rick will be on top and make him do the same thing. That'll be funny. So I hope they go that route. And you might be right. That's a really great prediction. It makes a lot of sense to me. We'll do a couple more. Next one's from AJ Unlimited, who asks an absolutely loaded question, who says, Trev, when and how do you think Morgan will die? So there's another question mark. We have no idea what they're going to do with Morgan and how long he's going to be in the series for. And I do actually think it might have to do also with how long Lenny James wants to be in the show for. If he's not getting a lot of time in the show, does he like that because it allows him to do other stuff? Or does he dislike that because he wishes he was being used more? So, there's some really interesting questions with this here. I personally don't think that we're going to see Morgan still alive in season 10. And I could be totally wrong with that. We'll have to see, because again, it depends. Does Lenny James want to be in the series long term? If he does, maybe we'll see him in season 10. But I think in terms of story and what they've done with Morgan, and I mentioned this in my Death Predictions video, which I'll put an end screen video for you guys. If you haven't seen my Death Predictions for the second half of season 7, then definitely check it out, because we go through every character and who I think is going to survive and not. I do think Morgan will probably be killed off in the next couple years. I mean, we have no idea when, but I think before season 10, Morgan will probably be gone. I'm thinking probably season 8, season 9. We'll have to see, but I do think that Morgan might be killed off in the next little bit. So we'll see. Last one will be from Cave Lombax. He says, hey, Trev. So he left this in a comment. A lot of people did. They're like, nah, Trev, the governor is still number one, the best villain. Negan isn't even a good villain, as good of a villain as Shane. I mean, overall, he's just a little too generic and stereotypical at the moment. So a lot of people not liking Negan. Well, he's pretty new still. He hasn't had nearly as much time as the governor had to plead his case, or even maybe as much time as Shane had in terms of raw episodes to be developed. But, part of it, of course, is influenced by the comic books. I like Negan way better in the comics than I did the governor. And it depends what you like. It depends on your taste. Some people like simple, bad guy villains that are not the hero of their own story, so to speak. Some people like that, subscribe to that ideology or idea that, the best villains are all heroes in their own story. Magneto's the best villain because he's doing right by mutant kind and X-Men, this kind of thing. But I think it's funny, if you type in villain on Google, you see the Joker as one of the most common image in for villain is Joker at the top. So some people just like their villains to just straight up be 100% evil. And a lot of people argued too in the comments as well too. Like, I was prepared for that too when I made the video. I knew that was going to happen, where they said, well, Trev, Merle's not really a villain, Shane's not really a villain, this kind of thing. Don's not a villain. And it's like, again, a lot of this is semantics. We're just arguing over some people saying, well, villain means this and antagonist means this. Just getting into semantics. So really, okay, come on, guys. Like, simplify it here. We're saying, bad guys. Like, okay, so if you're going to be a bad guy in a show, let's go Lay, for example. We're going to do top 10. And, we're going to pick. So, yes, you can argue that Merle maybe isn't a villain. He's just doing what the governor said. You could maybe argue that Dwight is not so bad and that Shane is definitely not a villain. I know. But anybody, let's just say it this way, anybody who's kind of against Rick and the surviving group at any given time. So you could even say maybe Jenner in some way is, because he kind of voluntold them that they're going to all be opted out. So and Don would not let people leave, would not give people their freedom. So, and would kind of force them to stay. So again, restricting people's freedom like you're keeping them in prison or something, I wouldn't say that's, fair to people, and restricting them to even leave for a bit or something. It's not reasonable, right? So the Governor's an amazing villain. I miss seeing David Morrissey in the series, and he was an incredible villain, and he was my favorite for a long time too. Negan's taken it now though, because I think Negan is so fun and colorful and has so much to him. But some people call me a Negan fanboy. They no, the Governor's still better. So again, it's subjective. I don't think you can say for sure, clearly, objectively, the Governor or Negan are better than each other, or Shane's better than all of them. A lot of it's up to the viewer and who we like the best. So for me, me, Nega's my favorite villain. For a lot of you guys, I know he is. But I was surprised to see a lot of people like the Governor as their number one, which is cool because the Governor for me is number two. He has surpassed Shane, I think, in terms of what he did and stuff. It was pretty amazing. So that'll be it for today's Q&A, guys. Write your comments below. Let me know what you think. Do you think that Heath is going to turn into another Morales? How would you feel about that if he did? Do you think that they're going to be able to do the Whisperers justice in the TV series version, or would it be too pricey? Write your comments below. If you guys like this video, please thumb it up below. You can share, you can favorite. If you're new and you want to subscribe, bottom left to subscribe, click the bell to turn on notifications. So that's it for this video, guys. I'll see you soon. It's Trev saying peace. Later, guys. See ya. What do you want us to do? I don't know, viewer. How about a subscription? Do you think that might be in order? Or is that too much to ask?